I'm here with Gary Fraley, founder and owner of the Fraley and Fraley Law Firm. For today's video, I thought we'd talk a little bit about the initial consultation process, which is what happens when someone calls your office for the first time. So let me just ask you generally to start, what can people expect when they pick up the phone and call your office?
Well, the first thing that they should expect is that they're going to be treated with dignity and respect. We're here to help them. And this is not about an attorney with their nose in the air. This is about having the client and the law firm like this to solve the client's problems.
So can you give me an idea of how much time it's going to take? How much time should they count on actually meeting with you that first time?
Well, in our firm, it's very different from other law firms. The typical law firm will go any place from 20 minutes to a maximum of about an hour. And what it is nothing more than a glorified sales pitch, and they walk out with no information that's of any use. In coming in to see us, we're going to schedule 1 to 3 hours, depending on the situation, depending on what the needs are. And we're going to show them what options, including non-bankruptcy options, are available to them. We're going to go over this stuff in detail. When the client walks out of my office, they normally have thousands of dollars of valuable, immediately usable information.
So can you give me an idea of what sort of paperwork someone needs to gather, and what sorts of information are you going to need from the client from that very first meeting?
Okay. Well, the best thing is if we have a complete list of creditors, including the amounts of the debts. We need 6 months of information as to income for any debtor or debtor spouse, and that includes small business income that is not corporate. We're going to want to know about foreclosures, wage garnishments, tax levies, because we want to stop those things for the client and get control of the situation, give the client their life back.
Now, if a client wants to come see you, they want to learn more about bankruptcy, and they don't have all of their pay stubs or their tax returns or this other information you're talking about, is it better for them to hold off and get that information together, or should they just come in with what they have and fill in the missing information on the back end?
I would rather they come in as soon as possible. The average client comes in 12 to 18 months later than they should have, and sometimes that's the difference of whether or not they need to file a bankruptcy, because maybe 18 months ago they didn't need to. We had other tools available that we could have recommended, but by the time they come in, they've spent and wasted thousands of dollars of real value out there, and oftentimes have put themselves in a worse situation because they didn't come in. We're not going to shove a contract at them and say, here, sign here, bankruptcy, bankruptcy, bankruptcy. That's not what it's about. It's about having the right tools to fix the client's problem and get them back on their feet.
Now, for many people who are looking into bankruptcy, this is going to be the first time they've ever sat down with a lawyer. So can you kind of take a step back and walk us through what happens in an initial consultation? I show up for my 9 o'clock appointment. I'm here a few minutes early. What can I expect from the time I show up through the time I walk out of the office?
Well, once we have the paperwork that we need, then you're going to sit down with an attorney. This is not somebody that's Johnny-come-lately. This is somebody that knows what they're doing. In my situation here, for instance, I've been doing this for nearly a third of a century. I also do free consultations because I've never charged to have somebody find out whether they needed our services. I don't believe in that. I don't do it that way. Once they're in with the attorney, we're going to put this all in plain English and explain their options. We're going to answer, honestly, all their questions before they leave. And the key is for the client to understand what the options are, how we're going to use them, and what the result's going to be based on that.
And you mentioned that the consultations are free, the initial consultations. For people who meet with you and decide right then, yes, this is the way we need to go, we need to move forward with a bankruptcy, do they need to bring a checkbook? Do you need to have money if you plan on filing?
If you are coming in and you want to do something immediately, then we do need to have funds. The issue is going to be, we're going to have to determine what the fair price is, and that's based on a calculation on the computer based on the amount of services we're going to provide to them. Bringing a checkbook in is wonderful, and if they want to hire me to begin with, as soon as that consultation's over and they know their options, we're happy to do so. But we're not going to pressure them. This is not about pressure, it's about information.
And now, can they pay for this on a credit card?
No, they cannot. Credit cards and the state bar consider that a very bad thing for an attorney to do. And I like my meal ticket with the state bar.
So what is the most important takeaway from your perspective that a prospective client should have walking out of your office after that initial consultation?
They should feel better about the world, and 95% of them are going to feel better about the world. They're going to walk out knowing what they need to do to get the best result. And a lot of that is not about bankruptcy law. It's about knowing the things that surround it and the issues as to who's in a position to freeze accounts and grab things once you file. The bottom line is they need to walk out with good information, and they need to walk out with their head up.
All right, well, thank you very much for talking with us today, and we'll see you on the next go-round.
Thank you.